Three friends, one amazing series of YA novels, an insatiable thirst to relive the glory that is K.A. Applegate's literary masterpiece. This is Animorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Hello and welcome to the Dork-Bajir Chronicles, a podcast where we read through the Animorphs series, one book at a time, and we talk about it every week on Monday. Today we'll be talking about Animorphs number 25, The Extreme, the one with Marco morphing into a polar bear on the front. That is quite juicy illustration. My name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Brayden, the country boy. Just trying to make it out here in the Arctic.
The country boy in the Arctic?
Yep.
That's a pretty good, band name.
Arctic country boy or country Arctic boy? I like Arctic.
Country boy in the Arctic.
Yeah.
No. Arctic country boy sounds better. Country boy in the Arctic would be the name of the first album, though.
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
That's
I'm not changing my mind on this.
Our whole friendship is agree to disagree.
We have two pieces of fan mail this week.
Hell yeah.
First piece of fan mail comes from @TroitlPower on Twitter. And they actually tagged us in a post that they had written on their blog where they break down some of the current Animorph podcasts out there, and I want to read a little snippet because I thought this was interesting. It's always interesting reading what other people think of you, and it's not a bad thing at all. Let me see a little excerpt I can grab. Oh yeah, okay. The most over-the-top silly podcast rises to the cream of the lol what crop, which I'm not against that. I just don't know. I don't know what it means entirely.
That's because you're an old man, Mikhail. You're too far gone from this young generation.
Yeah. Well, okay. When it comes right down to it, when in our very first episode, I describe how I lost my virginity, and I don't think anybody's going to come into a Animorphs podcast expecting to hear that. So
come into.
God damn it, Tessa.
We also spend a lot of time talking about animal sex.
It was a magical moment with my now ex-fiance, and you want to just come all over that.
I mean,
my God. This is going to get dark really fast if we keep going down this road.
You know, it doesn't get dark. The Arctic, because it's full of snow.
Or this next shining light of piece of fan mail from @LegoRats on Twitter. And they shared, I saved this one for a Marco episode because I thought it was appropriate.
Hell yeah.
It's a surfboard, I think, or a boogie board. And it's just like the...
board.
Okay, so it's an illustration. It's a picture they sent to us. And it's like the jaw. It's like an illustrated Jaws kind of shark coming out of the water. And then it just has a speech bubble coming out of it that says, Marco? ?
It's so perfect. Like, what
I don't understand.
Is it Marco Polo, the game? Like, what is going on?
But then what does it have to do with the shark?
Like,
oh, yeah, that must be it. Marco, because in a game of Marco Polo, one person is in the water saying Marco, and the other people say Polo, so that the person with their eyes closed in the water has to, find them by sound.
You're blowing my mind right now. That actually makes tons of sense.
Yeah, that makes way more sense.
The better reason is that it's just that shark from book 4 that wants to finish the job. Coming next summer. Sharknado like you've never seen it before.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyways, that's it for fan mail this week. Brayden's turn to do the summary.
Yes, it is. All right. Let's open things up real quick and cash here. Marco's all excited because you know what he done did? He got himself a Care to finish this sentence for me? TS on the download. Boom, baby!
I'm crotch chopping. I'm crotch chopping right now.
Our boy Marco has got himself a fly, honey, and her name is Mariah. Oh yeah,
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's Marion.
Okay, it's Marion. Marion. All right. So we come up on this fly Betty Marion, and he's all like, what up, Beethoven? How's it going? His 33rd is his best work. And she's all like, oh, Marco, no last name included. Oh, why don't we go see Beethoven's third together?
I mean, in all fairness, you wouldn't. It's not like kids say each other's last name.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know anyone's last name.
But yeah, she's down to clown.
I mean, she asks him out on the date. That's the big thing. Is that she asks him out on the date.
So they worry for a few minutes that maybe she's a yerk. But then the date goes bad because he falls asleep at the theater. So it's like, oh. I wonder if this has anything else to do with the rest of the book. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Just like, so a few pages later, he's just humming and hawing, and all of his friends are mocking him like, yeah, we decided to spy on you in case this was a yerk thing. And oh my god, buddy, it was humiliating. Wow, you are just dead in the water on that one. Holy shit. And, you know, I'm right there beside them, but damn, don't talk that cold to my man, to my beautiful boy. Don't do this to him.
Yeah. I mean, I think I knew she was wrong for him because it was like classical music. That's not, he's going to just be faking it the whole time in the relationship.
But how good would a book be that's just about Marco going on a date?
Whew. Oh, buddy. I pay so much Skrilla.
As the expert that always interrupts Brayden's recaps, I have to specify that they didn't spy on the date. They spied on her before the date.
They also spied on the date, I'm pretty sure.
No, he just told them the story.
Okay.
I mean, no, you're right. Maybe he did. Maybe they did spy on him.
Yeah. That would have been the perfect time to do it, though. Like, if she was gonna slug him, like, just have, like, a yerk in a little, like, essentially like one of those bags of goldfish and just dump it in his ear.
Just yerk him in the ear right there in the theater. Get you a girl who can yerk you in the ear in the theater.
Get you a girl who yerks you so fucking hard you don't care about the dissentation of your free will. All right, so
I have nothing to add.
As they are lamenting and mocking Marco's flubbed date, they are approached by Jake, or not Jake.
Did you even read this book? Oh my god.
Yes, I read the book. I just don't remember the damn cheese name. There's so many frickin' side characters now.
Oh, just wait. It gets better.
All right. What was it? It's what's
Eric.
That cheese name? Eric
the Chi.
Oh Lord, what a dumb name, Eric the Chi. Eric the Chi approaches them and tells them that the Andalites have a secret plan. They plan
the Andalites? What?
No.
Did I say?
Oh my god!
The Yerks.
The Yerks! Oh my god! You guys! We talk about the Arctic and all of our brains freeze and we get a bajillion things wrong.
The Yerks are going to send a satellite into space and it's going to make every whatever body of water they want to into a yerk pool. So obviously they got to stop this. They have the Chi replace them at home with like by illusioning around their bodies to make them seem like Marco and Cassie and Rachel and Jake. And it's like, wow, why didn't you do this before? Fuck, it's not like the Chi are doing anything else at any given hour other than pretending to be people.
Well, can't we assume that they're like constantly sending out like information and like gathering information, and that this is actually like only one part of Eric's day? Like he's not going back to just like fetch sticks and stuff.
And like hang out with the dogs in the dog park. No, yeah, they're definitely doing like some deep recon all the time on the Yerks.
Just deep inside their butts. Yeah.
But also petting dogs.
Mostly getting distracted and petting dogs.
They got that whole big dog park underneath the city that they got to take care of.
I think they're also like freaking out that Jake and Marco gave like that super important crystal thing.
Yeah, they're like the main point of the Chi operation is trying to find that fucking grape-sized crystal that they threw into the ocean.
Yeah,
These
pretty
goddamn
much.
kids.
They didn't throw it into the ocean. They fed it to a dog.
Who took it to the ocean, basically.
Took it to the ocean.
Ridiculous.
Frick. So they sneak on to a Yerk ship by flying onto Visser 3 as flies and hanging on to him. And there's a funny little moment where he almost scratches off Marco. And Marco's like, oh, who would have figured Visser 3 scratches his ass? What a chump. And it's like, okay, Marco, don't be so... That's a powerful alien general, and you're gonna judge him for scratching his ass after all the shit he's done? Come on. It's ridiculous. Anyway, they make it onto the ship. They have some troubles. They almost get caught. They get into the bay, the cargo bay, and they are surrounded on 3 sides as the ship lands. But they see some these weird tubes that almost looked like big blocks of ice with something weird and silver and sort of humanoid inside, but like tall and long and 4-armed. And immediately...
Okay, wait. Sorry, I just want to clarify because I'm confused. Do they have 4 arms?
No.
Or do they have like 2 arms that split apart into 4 hands?
Okay, well, they have two shoulders, but then their forearms split into 2. They have double forearms. So it's not inaccurate to say they have 2 arms.
Okay, I guess I just always had this picture of them in my head when I was a kid, so I never really read the description too closely. But I always thought they kind of looked like the alien from Alien, but with skis and like ski poles.
I mean, yeah, because they describe them later as having ski feet, and it's like,
Ski feet.
what does that mean? Yeah, how do they walk in anything other than snow?
Well, they never had to. Apparently, they die outside of it. Axe explains, that these are a extinct race called the Venber, who lived on a purely Arctic moon that they were thought wiped out. But before he can get into any more detail, they got to get down and fight this shit. So they manage to fight their way to the back door, bust it open to get it outside, and to do that, they smash open one of these like ice blocks that has a Venber in it, and it spews this gas that is just must be keeping the Venber alive, and it just like freezes entire limbs and torsos and fingers. And just like, I think Rachel, she loses an entire bare hand.
She walks her foot off. She walks out of her foot like you would walk out of a shoe stuck in the snow.
Yeah. Ugh. It's not a pleasant image, especially when it's happening to like, just like a bunch of like lizard people, Dork-Bajir, and this bear, and just like everyone's, it's a real frickin' mess, I'd say. But they get out and they immediately realize that they are in big trouble because they have just fallen like 20 feet onto hard ice, and like their skin is ripping off on the ground and the ship is taking off like their only escape. And they realize we're a gorilla, a tiger, a bear, and an Andalite. Oh no, we're gonna fucking die. And Tobias is like, oh, hey guys, I see a base off in the distance, but also I'm shutting down real fucking fast. You guys need to give me some help here. So him and he curls up in Rachel's bear paws, and they run off to try to find somewhere to hide. And when they find
which is like pretty awesome.
Yeah.
They don't find a cave, they make a cave. My understanding
not the
was
cave
they
part.
like...
I'm talking about Rachel holding Marco to her bosom.
No, she holds Tobias.
Yeah.
She cradles
pretty much
Tobias's bird body.
I blanked out and imagined it was Marco. So.
But then a couple pages later, she punches him in the face, and that's really what their relationship is about.
I mean, she was waking him up. No one else loved him enough to do that. So I'm just saying.
No one else had runs.
All right, so they make it to this cave. They clear it out.
No, Brayden, I think they just build a hole in the snow.
No, that's later.
That's later, yeah.
That's later.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting it mixed up.
They get in this cave and they're like trying to strategize for a while. Jake is giving Tobias instructions to... Jake gives Axe and Tobias instructions to turn into fleas and hide in Rachel's fur because she's the warmest. And Tobias and Axe don't have warm weather morphs. And then the rest of them will morph into wolves. But Marco has a bit of a scare where he's starting to like pass out from the cold because he's the least furry critter here. And when he does, he starts to go into like a white light and he says he's flying and he's trying to flap his wings, but he's not flying because he has wings. He doesn't need them anymore. And then Rachel punches him in the nose and he's like, what's the meaning of this? And Rachel's like, get it done, morph a wolf. And he's like, yes, ma'am.
Nice.
Wait. Are you saying that Rachel has two catchphrases? She has "Let's do it," and she also has "Get her done."
Pretty much.
No. What? God damn it.
You said "Get her done."
Anyways, where were we?
Rachel had punched Marco in the face.
So they all
just-
morph into wolves, and they get on the move again to try to find somewhere to hide out from the Yeerks. They then see the Venber approaching them in the distance, and they've got these long black tubes. And they're like, well, what the heck are those? Those can't be good news. And then the Venber pick them up and use them to shoot at the Animorphs, and it blows the entire top off this mountain. So when this weapon just turns this entire mountainside into gravel, and they realize, oh no, these things are actually after us. So they skirt the coastline and keep running, and they get hunted like dogs all the way there by this faster opponent, until they eventually manage to lose them and start focusing on how they're going to survive. They morph in and out of human and wolf for a while. Eventually, they dig a hole and just stay up all night just morphing and unmorphing to make sure they don't get stuck.
Which is a far cry from fucking book like 3 or 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Like book 3 or 4? Book 3, they almost got trapped in wolf morph.
No, I mean like where they're like, oh yeah, we can only do 1 morph or 2 morphs a day.
Oh yeah, they're like, we don't know if we're gonna, it's so tiring.
Yeah.
It's too tiring, and now they're just like, what if we were just endlessly morphing? Do you know what I mean? And now...
I thought you were talking about book 4 when they're just getting chased by Visser Three and like the whale morph.
No, although this is a much better chase.
Yeah.
This is
there's
a much
lot more
better,
going
like,
on.
slow chase scene. I think it's because they're also in the Arctic and freezing to death. So they have to keep demorphing, so the Venbers see them as human.
Oh yeah. You mean like literally, not sort of figuratively.
No, like literally they see them demorphing.
Yeah. Which doesn't really come up again.
Not really. Later on, we kind of find out why, I think, but it's sort of a blink and you'll miss it moment.
Yeah.
But eventually, they do lose the Venber. They dig themselves a hole to sleep in and just spend the night morphing and demorphing to make sure they still have fur to survive. And they ask Axe, like, hey, what's up with these Venber? Like, what are they? And he's like, well, I'm pretty sure they are extinct. Because when like if they're being held on to and like used by the Yeerks must have brought them back because they were entirely wiped out by a race called the Five. And they ask, well, why do they call them the Five? And he answers, nobody really knows. There's no records of them left, because what the Five did was they found the Venber and they brought them they experimented on them, and they found out their bodies melt outside of anything lower than freezing temperature, and they die. But then their bodies are complete. But then their bodies can be used as super advanced computer processors. So the Five hunted the Venber and made them into computer parts. And when the early Andalites found the Five, that's where the story ends. But all we know is there's no records of the Five, and the Five aren't around anymore.
Yeah, it's a pretty big cock tease, I thought, because it was
like what?
It's such
the
a
fuck
cool
are you
idea.
talking about?
But like, just wait till they come back, you guys, because it pays off so hard. But can I just say, in my headcanon, I know Mikhail hates that word, but the Five is just a boy band. We got a Skritna, an Andalite, a Taxon, a Dork-Bajir, and a Helmicron just cruising around and having adventures.
Wait, I saw that in the notes.
And then you came up with some excellent names. I love them. Backspace Boys. NSYNC with Z Space Frequencies. And
the last one's the best one.
My favorite, Eggs to Men.
Anyways.
It's good stuff.
We have fun over here at the Animorphs fucking recordings. Yeah.
So much fun.
Man, we're so good at our jobs. Lol, what? Lol, what?
Okay. All right. And so Axe says to bring them back, the Yeerks must have had to hybridize them with some sort of DNA, something they had a lot of access to. And that was probably human. And there's this bit of a quiet moment that I'm like, what's that gonna mean? Nothing. It doesn't mean anything. They don't do anything with that information. It's just sort of ominous, and then nothing happens.
It's actually a tie-in series with Spooksville, as we'll get into later.
More survival shenanigans. They see a polar bear kill a seal, and when it walks away when it's full, they're like, we can pick at that thing's bones. Cassie, are you all right with that? And Cassie is like, why would you ask me? It's not like that's been my weird, it's not like it's been my thing in every book that I'm weirdly moral about this stuff. And they're like, you're right, it was dumb to ask you. And then they go eat this seal. They meet some guy named Matt after getting hunted by the Venbermore.
Nope, his name's Derek.
Are we sure it's not Matt?
We're positive it's Derek. I just read it like 4 hours ago.
Who is, he is an Inuit guy who lives up here and hunts around here and is just like weirdly chill with like all this shit going on. He's just like, oh, hey, well, you guys got turned into animals, eh? What are you, magic spirits or something? Yeah, well, you're probably just human, but I don't give a fuck. You didn't do anything about these other weird gray dudes and blue dudes and green dudes? Ah, fuck, they done set up a factory down there, and they done gone churning all this garbage into our water. So this Matt guy...
He's not Matt!
...is way too cool with the fact that this...
I mean, Brayden, he's from the Arctic. Obviously, he's gonna be pretty chill.
That's
obviously he's gonna be cool with it.
That's the worst joke I've ever heard.
He tells them that the polar bear they saw, who got them that seal, he's like, oh yeah, that's my buddy there. You know, I just knock him out every once in a while with this here dart gun, and he's my buddy. His name's Nanook. And
wait, does he say that?
No, he never knocks him out. No,
he's got a rifle. Doesn't he?
His rifle is for hunting seals, dude.
Yeah, I don't think he does anything with the bear.
Yeah, he follows Nanook or something like that.
Yeah, he's just following him to check him out because he likes to see the polar bear.
Okay, yeah. So then we get to so they find out about Nanook. They find out how to track him down. They do. They pin him down and they all acquire him and they morph into him. It's at this point they try to do a stealth mission and it immediately fails, just like all the other times. And then they get hunted. They find out that the Venber are actually like being programmed by the Yeerks, but it's like a blink and you'll miss it moment. Because like Visser Three realizes those are the Andalite bandits. Program the Venber to attack them, and they're like, program? What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, the Venber are after us. And they get chased by the Venber, and they fight the Venber, so we don't really have time to process it. They defeat the Venber by, like, tricking them into going inside the Yeerk base, and they melt to death. Then they steal a bug fighter. They light up the Yerk base. And after a few days, they take a few days too, but they eventually get home. And Marco is like, "Hey, Dad, did Marianne call me at all in the last 5 days?" And his dad is like, "I would have told you if she had, because you've been here the last 5 days." And Marco's like, right, I knew that. Ugh. "Hey, son, would you like some ice cream?" "I gotta go take a hot shower." And he probably cries just a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I imagine Marco is a man very in touch with his feelings, but only really ever in the shower. You know what I mean?
Yeah, actually. A little bit too much, actually.
Not in the shower. That will make it terrible to clean. That's the only thing I know.
What are you talking about? What?
She's talking about jizzing. I'm talking about
God.
literally being the only place that men in our society are allowed to cry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. You are only allowed to cry in the shower.
Oh, yeah, you're okay with that. Oh, that's right. I forgot that was a rule that I'm okay with.
I just get angry in the shower. I don't cry anywhere. I just get fucking angry. Like, I just sit and I'm thinking about all the shit that's gone wrong lately. And I'm just like, fuck, I just want to destroy everything in this shower because I have the time to think about it. Like, when I'm doing literally anything else, I can't just, like, stop and think about it. But, like, in the shower, I'm just scrubbing myself and letting water fall on me. And suddenly I'm just like, all of your friends from high school abandoned you. Ugh!
Uh-oh.
Brayden, that's because you don't know how to be sad and it comes out as anger, which is another thing the patriarchy does to men. It's terrible.
It's not that I don't know how to be sad. I've been sad. It's just I'm angry instead. The feeling I feel is anger, not sadness.
You're doing it wrong, apparently, according to Tessa.
I mean, everyone's doing everything wrong, and if only they listened to me, it would be better. Anyway, let's get into the discussion.
If they listen to you, like... I'm trying to think of some personal thing I can attack you with. Right now.
So, the Venber always made me think of that one Spooksville book, The Cold People.
The what?
Oh, the one that everyone knows.
Spookville.
It's like, I think it's one of the ones that I used to own as a
Wait,
kid.
do you not know
it was,
Spooksville?
So Spooksville was like Goosebumps, but aged up a little bit. It was a group of kids, and like crazy shit would happen in their town, and then it would always go just to a little bit too real. And like, I didn't read a whole bunch of books, but there was one of the reoccurring characters was a kid named Watch because he had 4 watches, 2 on each forearm. One was where his mom was, one was timed to where his dad was, and one was timed to where his sister was, and one was for his current time. With the idea being that he's an orphan who lives nowhere. A reoccurring character is Bum, who's a literal bum on the street, who used to be the mayor of the town.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess is a thing that makes you a lot of money. And then he spent all the money while he was mayor, so now he's just a bum on the street, and he gives them advice sometimes. But
So
there's
anyway,
these,
this
like...
is our Spooksville podcast.
It's a Spooksville. It's a show within a bow. You want to get spooked?
I just want to point out here quick, I'm looking at the cover for this Spooksville book for the Cold People, and the tagline is just, "They'll freeze you to death." Just real quick and easy.
Yeah. It's that kind of hard-hitting tagline that we come to Spooksville for.
I mean, it's a better one than on any of the Animorphs books.
That's true.
It has something to do with the plot.
They'll freeze you to death. What if the Animorph books had taglines like that where it was like, Animorphs number 25, they go to the North Pole.
Or Animorphs number 25, her foot fucking freezes right off.
Animorphs number 25, don't get fucking shot.
Try not to get shot, you asshole.
Yeah, for no reason. It just says, "you asshole" in the tagline.
Or it's like, okay, Animorphs number 25, the extreme tagline, it's extremely cold.
Okay, that was bad. Let's keep going here.
Okay, yeah.
So, anyways, the biggest issue I had with this one, honestly, actually was the, just sort of like the logical problems with it. Like, for example, at one point they're like, hey, we need to eat to survive, but they're like, we can eat in morph, right? But then they're like, okay, well, they have to like follow this polar bear to like eat its remains, like the carcass that it leaves behind. But at the same time, Axe and Tobias have been feeding off their blood as fleas.
Yeah.
And they're totally full. And it's like, wait, so you guys have been morphing constantly and you can't see like the easiest fucking solution right in front of your face, which is just, you guys all take turns morphing fleas, eat some of, I mean, probably not Axe's blood because that wouldn't make sense, alien blood or whatever, but any one of their bloods, morph, like, do you know what I mean? Also, why do they all have to morph wolves? Why doesn't just one of them morph a wolf?
And then the rest of them are fleas. Yeah.
And then they take turns.
That would make sense, but this is like, these kids have some good strategies sometimes, but most of the time they just have bad plans. And they're like, okay, morph wolf. Yeah, that makes sense. Wolves have fur.
I hated it.
My understanding is that just like, do they have any, what happens when they morph out of a creature? Like, do they have to...
Because that's exactly what I thought too, is like, wait, so if they can eat in morph, then...
If they have to eat in morph.
Yeah, because also, doesn't that like change... Well, they don't have to eat in morph, I just think that they would die. Oh, I see what you're saying, because they would die if they were in human form. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like,
yeah.
Do they just have a consistently empty stomach?
Well, I think the idea that they're trying to get across in this book is that whatever fullness your stomach was before you morphed is directly proportional to the fullness of the morph's body. But it's like, if that's true, why wouldn't you just morph a flea every time you're hungry? Take 5 seconds to eat some fucking blood, then morph back.
I mean, what? Because you don't enjoy eating food, so you want to never have to do it again?
When I'm freezing in the Arctic, no, I don't enjoy eating food.
I think these kids, I mean, I feel like the idea just didn't occur to them because it also creeped them out and was gross because, like Jake had the fleas move off of him and onto Marco after he complained about itching. Now, a flea will only make you itch if it's bit you. So then Marco, they feed on Marco, and Marco is like, you guys could have asked.
So are you saying that their discomfort trumps their will to survive?
I mean, like, these kids fucking asked Cassie if she would have a bone to pick with them eating a seal.
They would have done it anyways, let's get real. If she had said no, they would have done it anyways.
Well, yeah, because it would be insane to say no when they're starving in the Arctic. Like, yeah, right. Cassie has morals, but she's not that much of a, like, she's not that much of a strict by the book person.
I also thought that, like, the whole point of the skunk book was to show Cassie that, like, you can't be naive.
Well, exactly. That's exactly it.
So I assume she learned that lesson in that book. So she's no longer an idiot about, like, how food chains work.
And between that book and then book 19, since then she's kind of grown up. And then also the David trilogy, where she was the one to have, like, the big cunning idea. Like, she's kind of grown up and she knows more about how the world works. But because it's a lot of internal struggle that she went through, and she doesn't really speak, like, she's good at hearing other people's feelings, but Cassie does not speak her own feelings. So none of the other kids know about this whole, like, compromise that she, that she's making with herself.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, right? Because, like, it's almost like, I can understand why she was insulted to hear that, and it does seem like condescending to even ask her that in the first place. But I agree with Brayden in that, like, that has been basically her only character trait, is, like, confusing morals about nature.
Which could also be why the kids asked her, because they're used to her being like, should we do this? Is this the right thing? And so they just kind of fall into that step.
I like the way that she's transitioning as a character from being this sort of, like, hey, have you considered the bigger picture type of character, to just like, hey, I know everything about animals character, which is kind of more useful in a big way.
Yeah, more like the brain of the group. I mean...
Well, okay, let's...
Well, like the data voice of animals, anyway.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to make a call right now. I think Cassie is going to have a breaking point. There's going to be just so much compromise to her morals. Eventually, she's going to say, okay, no more. Literally no more.
That was book 19.
Yeah, that was book 19. We covered this book.
Yeah,
Remember?
but I'm saying she gives up. I'm saying she's the first to break. I'm saying she's going to give up and stick to it.
You mean she's gonna like snap and just start killing people?
No. She's going to give up and just like not do any, like just give up on the Yeerk human war entirely and just focus on, I guess, other stuff like human interests, I guess.
So you think that she's just going to book 19 again?
Yeah, because that's literally what happens at the beginning of book 19.
I think Brayden was really drunk in book 19. I don't know if you remember. Mikhail, I don't know if he remembers book 19.
Do you think things don't happen multiple times in series? Do you think like, no, that's something she said before?
Brayden, this is the Animorphs series where literally nothing repeats. Okay? Like, we saw the Venber here once. They're gone forever. The Volique came in at the Andalite's gift. It's gone forever. Helmicrons were here for book 24. Gone forever. Like, it's not going to come back. It's just a gimmick.
Well, I know that, but...
We could argue about this for the rest of the episode, but we haven't touched on probably the most important part of the whole, maybe the whole series. What does Visser Three's bedroom look like?
Oh my god! He's got an Iron Maiden poster on the wall.
Yeah, like, but a literal Iron Maiden, and then they sort of describe, like, doesn't he say, like, he has a few other human things and then some foreign things? Okay, so here's my scenario. Like, what if Visser 3 was...
A 13-year-old boy?
No, what if he was human, right? And there was no chance of there being, like, alien stuff. But he was the same, like, personality and the same, like, crazy war general at war kind of thing. What would he have in his room? Well, I know it's a big leap. I'm just saying it's a hypothetical question.
He would have a Godfather poster that his college roommate gave him.
Yeah.
Or either the Godfather or that other one that's like, say hello to my little friend. Was it Scarface?
That's Scarface.
One of those. He would have something that is black and red. Probably his computer setup would be black with like red LEDs, and he'd be like secretly really into that gamer boy aesthetic.
I don't know if the computer plays a factor. I feel like he's more like General Adama from, or not General, Captain Adama from Battlestar, where he had like, no, not fucking Adama. The first mate, how he always had like alcohol.
Battlestar.
Yeah.
A reference that everyone can enjoy.
Tessa, this is the boys' corner.
Yeah.
Shut up!
Boys'
anyways.
night.
I'll just be sitting over here crying outside of the shower because I'm allowed.
The first mate always had alcohol, and they always had like manly stuff, you know what I mean? I think he would have that, but it would be like the absolute most extreme end of it. It's like, these are cigars made out of like human skin. like you know what I mean?
I had to pay an extra $1,000 to a coyote to get these snuck in from Mexico.
Yeah.
He doesn't
like,
say Mexico, he says Mexico.
And the cups are like carved out elephant tusks or something like that.
Just twisted weird shit like that.
Did you know that they made books where the cover was made out of human skin?
Yes, Mikhail, we've heard of this.
Oh,
And
sorry
also, Marilyn
to
Manson
bore you.
removed his 2 bottom ribs so he could suck his own dick. I know all the creepy facts.
I seen it.
What else is important about Visser 3 is that Homeboy has freakishly long arms. If, like, his human arms on his human torso can scratch the belly of his horse stomach.
Well, humanoid torso. He wasn't, like, in his human morph.
I'm going off of the book cover, which is a literal centaur. So he's got the human torso.
He wasn't scratching his belly. Like, Marco had accidentally landed on his back.
Ooh, I like this Freudian slip of Mikhail to Marco.
No, first he was scratching his butt while Marco. I was going to do it too there. Oh my
shit.
god. While Marco was like zooming around, and he thought that Visser Three was coming to catch him, but he was just scratching his butt. And then he goes underneath and joins everybody else at the belly, and then he falls off, and his fly brain takes over for a bit. He tries to fly away, and then he's like, no, fly brain, don't. And he zooms back, but he hits too hard. So he zooms into the horse belly, which then prompts Visser Three to scratch the horse belly. And he's like, damn parasites. How does he reach it? How does he reach it?
Maybe it's like remember in the TV show where he only morphs the arms of that one thing?
Yeah, okay.
And then he only morphed the arms of like something with long arms. Hey, funny answer. I'm the funny guy on this podcast.
Hey, it's Miguel. He's a funny guy. You could call him DeMarco of the show. Hey, what up? It's Tessa. I'm the Cassie of the show. Moving on, how long are Visser Three's arms? And also, what's the deal with bug fighter food? Am I right?
At least 4 feet.
4 feet long.
4 feet wide.
Oh, he's just got like slabs.
It's not how long they are, it's what he does with them.
This is our first description. Okay, wait, I have to say real quick on the Visser 3 butt scratch stuff, this is our first description in the Animorphs books of someone touching an Andalite butt. Now, it is the Andalite in question touching his own butt, but fans of the show and fans of the books, you know what's coming up next. People touch Andalite butt, it's gonna be hot.
So basically, you're referencing something that we can't talk about right now.
What?
Yes.
Good.
People
okay.
touch
It's a great
butt?
bit.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
What do you think the 5 are, Brayden? Because I'm actually really curious. I don't remember what it is, if it is even talked about later or not.
No spoilies.
I have no clues, but
Is it 5 individuals or 5 races or like?
My guess is 5 races, because
Me
how
too.
are 5 individual people going to like kidnap and use an entire race for their computers? They just like, it's not practical.
I agree. I mean, if it is 5, it's like, okay, it's a YA novel. It could be just 5 people. But I think if we're looking at this from like a sci-fi perspective, any like foreshadowing of capital T, capital F, the 5, it's like that is a 100 like advanced civilizations working together.
Right?
Do you know what I mean? And that's going to go wrong, of course, which Axe sort of says anyways, because he's like, well, they're dead now. Yeah. So if it's races and all 5 of them are dead, it's like, oh fuck, like some shit went down.
This sort of feeds into the ideas that I outlined. In my upcoming essay, which probably will be coming out just after this episode releases.
Which essay? Like on what platform?
On our that we'll be releasing on our Patreon to all of our $5 and above patrons.
That's right.
I'm calling it right now, Andalites and Empires. I'm outlining what I think from a book 23 readers or 25 readers perspective, what the rest of the universe looks like, what all these other races and creatures and civilizations we've seen mean. And a big thing that I sort of had to lurch across is, while the Andalites obviously want to be this peaceful race, these lawgivers, these life bringers, it's not 100% certain how they came up with all these, how they came to venerate this idea of a warrior culture, if they venerate peace so much. These venerating generals and war princes and all these different like deliberately violent people. It was unclear, but obviously, and this is what I was theorizing, but this is sort of proven, it wasn't always that way. They weren't always the good guys. They keep these window dressings of like being war princes, being generals, being warrior poets in their cultures, and being ready to die in their oaths. They keep all of it as a veneer, but once upon a time, they lived it.
It's interesting to think about, because I think every civilization has that as well. I don't mean like that exact history. I just mean like a weird sort of early human. Yeah, exactly. So like even like we think of ourselves as the modern human, aka not cavemen.
Yeah.
So what is the cavemen version of all of these races? What's the cavemen version? I mean, the Dork-Bajir is an exception because it's, creationism or whatever.
You can't just or whatever creationism.
It's a
real
facilitated species. Creationism is an entirely different thing.
No, but I'm just saying, like, evolution was not allowed to play a role. That's what I mean for the Dork-Bajir. But the Taxons, like, that would be interesting, right?
Yeah, no, we kind of do get a little bit of a look back at these races. It doesn't come for a very long time, though, so I'm really interested to see Brayden's speculation and hear more of these conversations as we go forward.
I think, like, really, there's nothing we can say about it currently, Brayden, just because there's obviously details we're missing. But I'm just saying I'm excited to hear more about it. For sure.
The one thing we know for sure is that they were prey animals, because we know that from Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
True.
About how they sometimes would just have insomnia, and it's an instinct still.
Wait, who are we talking about? Which race?
The Andalites.
They're a created race?
No, like we do find out a little bit about them. They're kind of their caveman days. Because Aldria talks about how she can't sleep for a couple days and asks her mom about it, and her mom's like, oh yeah, we used to be prey animals, so sometimes you still can't sleep because biologically.
Oh, this is what sparked my whole prey animals can't evolve to develop technology. Yeah, I remember this. If you want to hear me rant about this, listen to our
the Dork-Bajir
I think it was that, and also the Andalite Chronicles, where it was just
probably,
like, listen, cows can't fire guns.
I mean, not yet, they can't.
Anyways, I'm looking forward to reading Brayden's essay. I have been hearing about it for a long time now. That'll be coming out next month. Not next month. It'll be out September, anyways. September of 2018, depending on when you're listening to this.
When you're listening to this, going through our back catalog, are ya? Hello, guest from the future. I will say I am really excited to read all of the books after this point with a close adult eye, because this is the last book that was written by the authors.
So that's wrong, actually.
I mean, not like the last one, but from now until like a book in the late 40s, with the exception of book 32.
You're still wrong.
The rest
this book was written by a man named...
Is this the first ghost-written book? I thought it was after this point.
Jeffrey Zook. I can't pronounce his last name, but it's definitely Jeffrey. Based on the outline by K.A. Applegate. Yep.
Okay, I thought it was the books after this point that were ghost-written.
So anyways, I'm Mikhail, the expert.
All right. Hi, I'm Tessa. I'm going to speak really weird during the intro because I felt sad when someone said I spoke in a monotone.
Wow. Call out post.
You better have a shower tonight to cry about that one. Psych!
So Brayden,
crotch chopping. I'm just crotch chopping over here. Oh, I thought it was all the books after this one that were ghost written, but this was the first ghost written one?
Yeah, this is the first one. So this guy, Jeffrey Zoo, wow, I can't say his name.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Jeffrey Zoo, starts with a Z anyways. Zeuhike. Zeuhike? Okay. Anyways, I'm obviously saying that wrong. He wrote this, and I believe number 35 or 32, one of those ones.
32 was going to be ghostwritten, but the ghostwriter went too far off the outline, which when we read book 32, you can understand this ghostwriter's confusion. And because they're churning out one book a month, Catherine and Michael just didn't have enough time to tell the ghostwriter, no, actually, we want you to do it this way. So they just took over and rewrote that book.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Anyways, it was 35 that Jeffrey wrote.
Okay. But so 25 to like 40 something are, 35 is also a good Marco book.
Yeah, a good Marco book.
I liked it a lot.
So this is like not interesting to talk about at all.
No, but it's important to mention because like I'm going to keep this felt like a regular Animorphs book to me.
Yeah.
So like, and I know it's like there's dissent among the fans that a lot of the ghostwritten ones don't feel like Animorphs books. Like there's some characterization that they get wrong or like weird shit happens. And I'm excited to kind of read them more closely in like what Mikhail has always wanted this podcast to be, the literary analysis type.
You mean like it sounds like we're not children griping at each other?
I mean, I always read them literary analysis type. I don't know what I was talking about. Anyway.
Yeah, like the comment, the boy band. Literary. Anyways.
Boy bands can be literary. Did I have any other notes here?
Brayden had something in his notes about the mist, the freezing mist, and how I believe he wrote, like, I'm frickin' sick about it, is what he said, which I'm assuming means you thought it was cool?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's a real thing. It's not necessarily just a mist, but liquid nitrogen. You can definitely do a lot of the same stuff with it.
Are you sure that, like,
pump the brakes?
Like, I know liquid nitrogen is pretty cold, but can it, like, straight up, like, flash freeze a person's limb off?
Yeah, that's actually the point of liquid nitrogen in a lot of, like, industrial uses.
Yeah, if they had enough. It's just, like, when you see it commercially made, like, out there for science experiments to make, like, sriracha ice cream or some shit, there's just not enough to, like, engulf your arm before it turns into a gas so fast.
It's a weird thing because, like, so I, without giving out, like, tons of personal information, I work with chemicals at my day job.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, he's Visser 3 and he's programming the Venbar.
Oh my god!
Brayden, run!
I've worked with dry ice before, which, mind you, is not as cold as liquid nitrogen, but it's really weird it's sort of a weird thing for the average person to conceptualize how cold something can be without being solid. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Vapors that come off of dry ice can be quite a bit colder than, like, just air or, like, a cold day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, dry ice is frozen, I want to say carbon dioxide. It might be monoxide. But anyways, it's about minus 90 Celsius. But when you look at it, it looks like an ice cube made out of regular water. So there's something in your brain that's just like, it's impossible for that to be colder than ice. And yet, if you held it in your hand for like 10 seconds, it would give you frostbite. Whereas you can melt an entire water ice cube in your hand and it would be fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess the whole
science is crazy, guys.
The point I'm trying to make is that liquid nitrogen can do that, even though it seems crazy.
You ever just, like, think about science and, like, all the crazy science there is in the world? Like,
do you ever just think about it and then you hear in a chorus in the distance that's like, Bill, 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 Bill,
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah.
Oh, what a note to end the show on.
And that is definitely the end. It's too bad. I actually have way more to say about this, but we're totally out of time. Brayden, before we leave, you gotta hit us with your predictions for Animorphs number 26, The Attack, which will be a special episode because we'll have patron Andrew as a guest.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
All right,
my prediction is that he's a very nice person.
Mine too. So, okay, we got a cover. Green is the motif. Jake is looking very 90s. He's morphing into a tiger. It's called The Attack. The tagline is change is necessary. This is war. This is fighting. A lot of the others have been, like, lately have been them morphing into animals, but, like, they clearly weren't doing something. And this creature on the cover is going to be the one on the inside cover, which I don't see right now, which I don't check yet. I think this one's going to have a lot to do with combat. I think we're going to finally see some big frickin' deal fights. Maybe they're going to have a standoff with Visser 3. Maybe they're going to finish off Visser 3, and then Visser 1 is the main antagonist.
Oh, dip.
I like that.
It's pretty distant, and it's a pretty distant, wild possibility, but it's what I got.
I like that, actually. I think it's apt. Maybe not for this book, but definitely a good prediction.
Yeah, because I guess I could see someone getting tired of writing Visser 3, you know?
Because it's so cartoonish.
Yeah, and they're clearly trying to make, like, the universe bigger at this point. Like, at this point, had they released Andalite Chronicles yet?
Yes, they have.
They are clearly trying to tell a bigger story at this point. And the idea that Visser 3 and these Yerks are still sort of tying them down to just Earth shit is probably becoming very tiring. So I could see them making a sweep for his neck right now.
I think, like, the idea that Visser 1 is going to play more of a role, like, I really don't remember these next few books, honestly, but I feel like that would be a good return, largely because I think, as an adult anyways, I'm getting really fucking sick at his incompetence, and I need to see somebody in the Yeerk Empire, like, know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At least for one book.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
For one.
That was predictions.
We'll find out in 2 weeks.
So, next week, in our bi-weekly episode of Live from the Gardens, we're going to be talking about the ringed seal and the polar bear, which is the 2 morphs that they acquired this book. Where can people find more of our content?
You can find more of our stuff on our podcast page at collectivelegacy.org or on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Facebook.
And then, after that, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever fine podcasts are distributed, and subscribe to us there. And then, you can go to our parent site, collectivelegacy.org.
You can also show support for our show at our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Dork-Bajir. That's DORKBAJIR, where you can pledge a monthly amount as low as $3, which is pretty low, in my opinion. However, if you can't give, that's totally fine. We're not going to ever make this podcast go behind a paywall or anything. So if you can't afford to support, we totally understand. But it costs as little as $3, and you guys start getting all the extra shit that we've been giving to our patrons, and it has been a lot.
It's like a Discord chat with, like, our pet photographs or Brayden asking dating advice. That's pretty hot. We've got essays at $5 a month, as previously stated.
Let's just clarify one thing. I wasn't asking for dating advice. I was asking...
Patrons, you know the truth.
Also, if you become a patron and you get access to the Discord, you can go back and read everything, which I didn't think about when I made it. But you can totally go back and read. We've had a ton of long conversations about tons of shit, including Animorphs toys and lots of stuff.
It's fun. It's fun.
Part of our Patreon campaign is to give shout-outs to people at a certain level. I was just going
to say that, yeah.
That's true, but you also read all of Brayden's lines, so I'm going to read yours now.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
So we like to play a little game with patrons of a certain level or higher, where we read their name and give them an Animorphs-style title. Like, this book, for example, was Animorphs number 25, The Extreme. So, for example, I'm going to give a shout-out to Andrew Vila, the Baron.
No Baron. I've got a list of all the actual titles in front of me, and I also have my amazing Steel Trap memory where I have all of the Animorphs facts, and I never get them wrong. I'm also not on Twitter, so don't tweet me. No Baron. Point for Mikhail.
Brayden, why don't you do the next one?
We would like to give our deepest thank yous to Greg Della Posta, the Wicked.
No Wicked. Which, like, I feel like Wicked was 90s slang. They totally could have used that one.
Okay, I'm going to do a big thank you for patron Anyanka, the Clarity.
No Clarity.
Shit.
You guys are just too good at this game. All right, Brayden, you go.
We would like to give our deepest thanks to Spencer, the mic.
Like the microphone?
The microphone.
Oh,
okay, but it'd be funny if it was like Spencer the mic. No mic. And I'm going to top it off with a great big thank you to A Heap of Games, The Beginning. Because he's been there since the beginning. That's true. It all wraps around.
So, for the Animorphs, my name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Brayden, the real beginning.
And this has been Animorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Hello, welcome to the ad for the show. I'm Mitch, the host of Whack Talk Radio. On this show, I talk to interesting people about interesting things. Do you need to know more than that? Okay, fine. Pretty much we'll talk about whatever my guest is interested in or passionate for. Sometimes it'll be silly, sometimes serious, sometimes a bit of both. Whatever the topic is, hopefully we'll find a way to make you that much more of an expert about it. You can find us at collectivelegacy.org, along with some other equally awesome shows on our network. New episodes of Whack Talk Radio are every Sunday and Thursday, wherever you find your podcasts. Let us know what you think on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Whack Talk Radio. That's WENGH Talk Radio.
Whack Talk Radio.
Brought to you by
Collective Legacy.
a podcast network.